I literally think about that all the time. Like in my head, say "What's up, gamers?" like all the time.
I love that. I managed to start recording as you said that last sentence. So
I
there will be no context for the beginning of this episode now.
Perfect.
Just Katie constantly thinking about what's up, gamers.
I'm not even kidding. Like it really it lives in my head rent free, as the kids say. It was, honestly though, and I don't even know who the person was that said it, but
Katie,
A gamer.
he's back, and this time, welcome to Happy Suffer.
oh,
Very good tagline. He's back, and this time.
I'm assuming because they mean it's another movie.
Well,
or
he's back, and this time Ernest Saves Christmas would be the idea.
oh.
All right.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Ernest Saves Christmas is what we're talking about.
Oh.
The only good Christmas movie.
Well.
So since we're splitting recording up over 2 days, I got confused.
Oh no!
I did not watch Ernest Saves Christmas today.
I mean,
because I thought we were doing it tomorrow.
Well, would you guys want to just do? We could do Pop Star today, and then
I've got Ernest Saves Christmas on right now. Fuck it, let's wing it.
Yeah, let's go. Fuck it. Who cares?
I was gonna say
I thought it was Jingle All the Way.
I've watched all three of the movies we had to record for, so.
Well, I can't watch anything tomorrow, so I did already do notes on both, but I don't know. We could pivot, or you could just wing it.
I mean, would you want to just do Jingle All the Way today then, and then do Ernest tomorrow?
No, I think this is funnier.
All right.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, we'll go on, and then you...
I think you should.
Everyone needs to know.
Good content.
Anytime anyone's just like, I want to hear the behind-the-scenes stuff, this is the behind-the-scenes stuff. We don't know what we're doing.
This finally happened. Like, I've been dreading this for like 5.5 years that I was going to watch the wrong thing.
It doesn't
then,
feel good,
like,
does it?
3 minutes ago, you're like, Ernest. I was like, Ernest? Fuck.
Listen, I will say, like, you really get in your head about it, because then you almost did it like 2 weeks ago when I was like, oh no, we're watching this other movie. But you had time.
Well, we only really have maybe 2 or 3 times a year where we're like, all right, well, this kind of thing's going on, or holidays coming up, so let's get a couple weeks caught up, and then we won't have to worry about it. And that's what it seems like when it always happens with one of us. And I literally like yesterday or the day before, I was like, maybe I should text in there and just be like, hey, this is the schedule or whatever. Then I just forgot. So
yeah, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, we recorded a bonus episode or whatever, and I clarified what we were doing. So, well,
yeah. Oh well,
it's fine. At least I still think the worst one was Rabid Grannies, where I didn't even know we were recording that day.
Yeah.
Well, you
you
guys texted me like, I'm ready, and I was like, huh?
So kid,
what do you mean?
I don't want to spoil the movie for you, but Ernest in fact saves Christmas.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild.
He does a pretty good job at saving Christmas.
The cab number is 69.
Yeah,
nice.
It is.
Yeah.
You know it is. That's the best part of the movie, is him in the cab, and then he's singing "Oh Christmas Tree" over and over and over again. The fucking best. All right, this is episode 284 of Happy Suffer. Sure. Kit has absolutely seen Ernest Saves Christmas.
I am also. Kit has absolutely seen Ernest Saves Christmas several times.
Kit definitely has seen Ernest Saves Christmas, and he took the notes on it. So
yeah.
he really knows what's going on.
I can describe what's happening right now.
Okay,
We do a whole episode of that. It's
I was
gonna be
gonna
really
say,
bad.
if we had the whole time, I would just be like, okay, start now, just explaining everything that's happening. It would be
don't
like the
listen to the
most,
dialogue. Just tell us what's happening on screen.
yeah.
Yeah. What?
All right, no, you're good. We're good.
Katie
We're fine.
just got tasered.
In my gooch.
Oh yeah, real quick, Kit. Did you know? Well, number one, what are your thoughts on Chris Kattan?
Oh yeah.
I generally like Chris Kattan.
All right. Were you aware that he has done not one but two Christmas movies starring him and Preston Lacey?
No.
Because I got some a spoiler for you for what we're watching next year.
Oh man. Tell me right now, and I'll have forgotten in 2 weeks.
Yeah. One of them is
and
a
it'll
movie,
be a surprise again.
One of them's a movie called Holiday Heist that looks like they run around and have fun. So I'm very excited to watch that. But we were doing a Night at the Roxbury Monkey Bone episode, and I was like, oh yeah, he's got like some Christmas movie with Preston Lacey, and Katie said a title, and I said a title, and we realized there's two of them.
There's two.
Oh my god.
And I'm sure they're perfect bangers.
Definitely.
They would have to be with that team up.
They did Preston Lacey dirty on the cover of Holiday Heist.
Well, there's also like the one on Letterboxd. He's not like neither of them are even on. It's like two other people on the cover. Very, very good.
Yeah. So, Kit, what's your opinion on Night at the Roxbury?
I don't know if I've ever actually watched the whole movie through. If I did, it was when I was sick and heavily dosed with NyQuil and at like 2 a.m.
So I was going to say, so the perfect time to be watching it. Okay. We, at the end of the episode, we were really wondering, like, it could really go either way with Kit, whether it's fine or maybe you like it. Have you seen Monkey Bone?
Oh yeah, Monkey Bone rocks.
Okay.
It's so good.
It's the best. It's the best film.
It's baffling how little anyone ever talks about that movie, because like, especially the people that are way into like Nightmare Before Christmas and James and the Giant Peach and all of that, like
super in that wheelhouse.
Yeah, animation that came out, because it's the same director of those movies, and like it's so good.
I'll say the Stephen King imitator they get is perfect.
I like legitimately forgot that was in there, and I was like, I wonder what Katie's gonna think about this.
I loved it. Pure cinema.
All right, Ernest Saves Christmas from 1988. Possible spoiler for next week. Still maybe stands as the only non-horror Christmas movie I like.
Yeah, well,
sorry, all you Jingle All the Wayers.
It's okay. We understand.
Slight spoiler. I didn't hate it. I don't. Something of like, I don't like Christmas. I don't like the holiday time in general. You
don't like Christmas.
So like, even watching Christmas movies bums me out. So if somebody's not getting gored by a reindeer or something, I want to see it. Or a shark. Give me a shark goring people with their candy cane horn. That's all I want. Or Goldberg. If Goldberg's spearing some people dressed as Santa Claus, I'm in.
Killing James Caan.
Yeah. And Chris Kattan to bring it back around.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah.
But like, I don't know. I like this one. Just based on probably seeing it as a kid and loving Ernest. I know
this is a difficult question because it's not. There's so many answers. Who is the one really shitty, crumbly old white dude in the Trump administration? Because he looks exactly like one of the elves in this movie, and it has haunted me since 2016.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like all of them.
Yeah, that's everyone in that admin. But if you see the elf in this You'll know.
Like
oh
literally,
my God.
Like literally, the only person I could think of is Steve Bannon at the moment, and I know it's not him. I think you're just thinking of Mike Pence.
Definitely not Mike Pence. It's, oh my God.
That's kid's job. Is he's got to just look. He's got to go Google through the Trump administration.
I'm doing some Googling during this film.
Kid's gonna completely fuck up his Google algorithm, and now
it's gonna be so bad. It's gonna be so bad.
The only crusty old man I can think of right now too is Mitch McConnell.
I've been complaining to Katie all week because somehow all of my Instagram ads have just turned into like either dick pills, a thing about freezing your sperm, or like the just shitty shirts for like gun owners, or those like douchebag UFC obsessed people you see where it'll be like, I keep referring to them as like Hot Topic for like right wing people shirts.
Yeah.
Where like, let me see how I took a couple screenshots. They're the worst. It's killing me. And that's
got it.
Oh, who is it?
Jeff Sessions.
Oh, okay.
Jeff Sessions looks exactly like that one little elf. Apologies to the little elf.
So I got a shirt that's I'm assuming Viking Santa that says "Deck the halls with skulls and bodies, Valhalla."
Oh no!
La.
Oh my God!
For some reason, it has an American flag on the arm.
Well, yeah. Why wouldn't it?
So
those American Vikings we all know and love.
I got one that is a quote from Isaac Newton that says "Train hard, kill pedophiles."
God.
Classic Isaac Newton quote. So like that's like somehow that has become every other post for me on Instagram now, and I'm just like, fuck this, I quit. I'm done with social media. I'm tired of fucking seeing this shit. And like what's happening is where I have to click on the accounts to like block them. I think all Instagram is seeing is that I interacted with it, so I'm just getting more of them.
Yeah, just getting more,
like,
making it worse for yourself.
So at some point, maybe I'll have all of these accounts blocked. I won't have to see them anymore. I could go back to just seeing cats being weird little freaks, like all I want on Instagram. Just show me cats tearing up people's houses and stealing their toast or whatever. That's all I want to see.
Doing crazy jumps.
All right. Anyway, Katie, this is your first time seeing this movie. I assume you liked it.
I thought it was my first time seeing it, but it wasn't.
I felt like if you had seen any of them, it was this one.
Well, it was like one of those things where like I didn't remember anything about it until something was happening, and I was like, oh, like specifically the stuff that was happening in the warehouse, I very much remembered. And the guy who's playing Santa Claus, like I remembered him. So it was kind of like things where as I was watching it, I like remembered that I had seen it, but that's like pretty much it. And like it's fine.
Did you know that Santa Claus is apparently a voice in Aladdin?
Aw.
He's the Sultan.
Perfect. I pretty much pegged that's probably who he would be.
Yeah,
I don't know, like we kind of talked about it in the Ernest Scared Stupid episode where like I obviously knew who Ernest was growing up, but I was more of like a Pee-wee girl, so like I watched, not that you can't be both, but like I didn't really watch Ernest that much, so a lot of his humor to me as an adult is just not my humor. So like this was fine as far as like a Christmas movie goes. Like I didn't.
It's also like barely about Ernest.
It's true. Yeah, he really only does his disguises a few times.
Sad.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you get one of the only cinematic appearances of Vern. Even though you never actually see Vern.
Oh, the POV, yeah. Whenever he was like talking about going to Vern's house, I was like, "What, really?" And then it was just like the most chaotic thing ever. So I don't know. It was fine. Like I don't really, to be honest, I don't have like a strong opinion about it. It's like a pretty standard Christmas movie as far as like the plot goes, where it's kind of just like Santa
Ernest saving Christmas.
Yeah, most of them are about that, so
although,
pretty standard.
I do like that they managed to at least tie in some sort of a horror movie into this. But like the guy that they're trying to become the new Santa, just like pivoting to making it some weird monster movie.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Which I would like to see that movie. It looks fun.
Definitely.
All right, we can dive into it.
All right, we gave Kit a good 10-minute head start.
I feel like I've talked about Ernest enough in every fucking guest episode I've done that I'll need to go through my backstory on it again.
Probably, yeah. I guess the only thing to add is, like, essentially we picked this because I insisted that we did Jingle All the Way this year. And then so Nathan said, fine, but we're doing Ernest Saves Christmas. And I said, fine. We weren't mad about it. I don't know why I'm making it seem like it was an argument.
Yeah, it's a fight.
Yeah, I was like, Katie was like, I would do Jingle All the Way. I was like, let's do not actually any horror movies this month then, because most of them, we've covered the good Christmas horror movies as far as I can tell.
Yeah, and sometimes, I don't know. I feel like even more of a slog to try and go through, like, a lot of these Christmas horror ones that are, like, bad, they're, like, somehow bad, but, like, not in a fun way the way other stuff is bad. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's sometimes just harder to get through.
Yeah,
like
we did Christmas Twister. We've covered all of the good ones.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so Ernest Saves Christmas starts with my favorite thing, which is credits. But we get some really cute vintage Christmas illustrations of Santa Claus. There is a plane landing in Orlando, Florida. Gross.
Mm-hmm.
Two men chat. They're just like businessmen. One of them, you can very obviously tell immediately that he is actually Santa Claus. And he basically is like having this businessman talk with the other guy, but like in a way that, like, because you know he's Santa Claus, you know he's talking about being Santa Claus, but like it's the other businessman thinks he's just like doing business guy talk, right?
I love when movies do this shit where they just, like, one person is being very specific and the other person is being so vague, like, about everything.
Yeah. And it's like it's normal. Like, you wouldn't just be like, excuse me.
The one guy's like, yeah, I actually work in, like, producing matchsticks for match companies. And the other guy's just like, yeah, I do advertising. And it's just like,
so
I carry a briefcase to work. That's how you know I'm a real businessman.
I'm doing business all the time, 24/7. So they're just having a chat. Santa Claus basically mentions that he's looking for somebody to take over for him or whatever. What does this say? And then, like, after all of this kind of like vague stuff that he's saying, and then he starts talking about making toys and this, that, and the other thing, then you see Santa's magic sack on the luggage conveyor belt thingy, and you're like, oh, if you had any questions before, now you know this is Santa.
That's how I travel.
With a magic sack?
Yeah, just a big red sack.
Carrying around the sack.
Yeah. See, yeah. Well, so, okay. Enter Ernest. He is driving a taxi and singing "Oh Christmas Tree."
Ernest is driving, again, taxi number 69.
69. I did notice that, like, when he pulls up to the airport, and I was like, is that on purpose?
Yeah, 100%.
Ernest gets it in. So he's singing, like, the guy in the backseat is like, I really need to get to the airport fast. And he's like, okay, don't worry, sir, we're going to do it. And he's singing "Oh Christmas Tree." He starts driving super crazy, like weaving in and out, and somehow the guy in the backseat, like, flies out of the taxi. Yeah. And Ernest is just like, you can't sleep here, guy, and like picks him up and puts him back in the taxi. They are pulling into the terminal, and he just like fucking mows over these people's luggage. But to be fair, like, why is it in the street?
Yeah.
You know? Get the fuck out of the way.
Ernest, the only good taxi driver.
Yeah. And basically the bellhop, it's not a bellhop, because that's a hotel. But the guy who's like helping them with their luggage, like,
it's a hotel / airport.
Fair, okay. He's like, oh, it wasn't my fault. It was that taxi cab driver driving all crazy. And so the guys start yelling and like chasing after Ernest. But like, so he's running around. Santa leaves the airport and calls for a taxi. And Ernest is like, me, I'm a taxi, get in. And so they get into the taxi and drive away real fast.
Ernest has done a lot of speed today to make sure he's getting those holiday tips in.
Literally. So they're kind of just having a little chat, and Santa is talking about how the sun is too bright for him, which
same.
I can relate to. Too bright, especially in Orlando. Woof.
Any time of the day, the sun is too bright.
Yeah. And Ernest gives him some American flag 3D glasses to help with the brightness.
Yeah.
So
that's what I wear. They're good for driving.
They're good for driving. So they're driving behind a truck that has Christmas trees in it, and Ernest is kind of waxing poetic about, I forget what he calls it, like the old lonesome pines or something. He's just like talking about the Christmas trees, and one of them falls off the truck, and he like swerves around it, and then he's like, "Oh, don't you worry, little fella, I'm gonna save you," and starts just backing up in the highway, and is causing a bunch of traffic, and people are crashing, and
some real New Jersey driving.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. He gets the tree and puts it in the back seat, and basically is just talking about how he loves Christmas.
Were you surprised? I guess you said you'd seen it before, but I feel every time I watch this, I'm always like, about like 30 minutes in, I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't about Ernest becoming Santa Claus.
Right. I didn't remember enough to remember what happened. It was literally just like, as I was watching the scenes, there were some things that gave me like sort of deja vu where I'm like, oh, I've definitely seen this. I was actually sort of thinking that maybe the girl was going to turn out to be Santa.
I always forget, like, because this is one of those ones that I'll maybe watch like around Christmas time. Or like I'll like once a year I'll maybe do like a full watch. But it's like one I don't watch as much as the others just because it's a Christmas movie. But it's like every time I'm I'm always like, oh yeah, this is that movie where like Ernest is going to become Santa Claus, and I always forget that it's like that's not at all what happens, which I like that kind of like twist on it.
Yeah. So this is where Santa is like talking to Ernest about this kids TV show that used to be on that got canceled, and so he's here to talk to the host because like he's hoping that this host will be his Santa replacement. This is where we
unqualified to be Santa Claus, if you ask me, just from hosting a kids TV show.
Right. Okay, so this is where we meet the
Barney
girl.
As Santa Claus in the future.
Pretty much, actually. I don't know. I think he seems qualified.
Nah,
he's lived through a lot, you know.
Triceratops would be way more qualified than Barney.
Okay, so we meet the girl who is trying to dine and dash, essentially, and she runs into Ernest's taxi, like, literally, and then she gets in, and she's basically, you could tell from she's, like, the grifter character, where she basically is just like, oh, my uncle had me locked in a dirty rat dungeon, and I just escaped. And Ernest is like, okay, don't worry, little lady. You know, he does John Wayne impersonations.
Oh, he does like so much of this movie.
Yeah. And so she's like, okay, cool. And Santa is like, his name is Ernest, and I'm Santa Claus. And she's just like, okay, my name's Harmony Star, which obviously is not her real name, but
it's a cool name.
Harmony Star. So they arrive at the Children's Museum where Santa needs to go and meet this guy he wants as his replacement. But Santa pays Ernest $30, and Ernest is looking at it, and it turns out to be fake, like, essentially Monopoly money. And Santa's just like, oh, I don't have real money. And then Ernest is like, you know what? It's on the house. Merry Christmas.
I like we have a failure to accumulate.
So, yeah. So, okay, so he goes into the Children's Museum where we see his would-be replacement, Joseph Carruthers, who's doing a dinosaur puppet show. And I tried to Google this and I couldn't find it. I had this, like, recalled memory of watching this, like, informational dinosaur show on TV when I was, like, little, and I could not for the life of me. Like, if you try and Google, like, old man dinosaur kid show. Like almost it doesn't work, and almost anything that you get is the dinosaurs, which is like
I was
not
gonna
what
say,
I'm.
do you remember there being a baby dinosaur that said "not the mama"? Because you might be thinking of something else.
That was one of my favorite shows. But this was like literally like a science show where it was just like an old guy talking about dinosaurs and fossils and stuff. And like I had to have been in like elementary school, or I had to be in elementary school, and I just couldn't find it. So if anybody knows what it is, please let me know.
Was it specifically about dinosaurs, or do you just remember there was just an episode about dinosaurs?
I don't know.
Are you just thinking of that part of Mrs. Doubtfire?
Oh my God, I might be. No, there's no way. No,
I think you are. I think you are.
I don't think so.
That would be awesome.
No, I don't think I am.
Was it Dinosaur Dan?
Dinosaur Dan?
I don't know. I looked up science kids show about dinosaurs.
Let me look up Dinosaur Dan.
Dinosaur Dan looks too new based on the graphics.
Dinosaur.
Unless you've
oh
been
no,
lied
this
to
is
us
too.
and you're really like 13.
I am. That's
Uh-oh.
my.
What about The Land Before Time?
No, it was like it was not. It was like yeah, like literally an educational show. It wasn't. No, it wasn't Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, was it Yo Gabba Gabba?
Oh my God.
This Google search was not helpful. It's just coming up.
Isn't like the. No.
Somebody is screaming at us.
You know what,
screaming at their
though?
phone right now.
I think. Okay, so this dinosaur, the guy that's in the thing with the dinosaur is definitely not who I was imagining. But then this other picture of him with like this old guy, this old white guy, I am kind of remembering. There's no way I'm remembering Mrs. Doubtfire.
Kung Fu
I'm
Dino
pretty sure
Posse?
you are.
No. No, there's no way. I don't know.
It's gonna be so funny when like it's later tonight you're gonna be like, I figured it out. It was Miss Doubtfire.
There's no way it's Mrs. Doubtfire. I remember it being a real show.
But
You've Mandela affected yourself with this.
I literally might have.
Let's see,
No.
kids science shows from the 90s. Oh yeah, I don't know.
I swear to God, if it was Mrs. Doubtfire.
Was it Wishbone?
No, I do love Wishbone though.
This is like I have zero context for like a show about dinosaurs for kids. So, was it Saved by the Bell?
Yeah,
that came
was
up
it.
as kids science show from the 90s.
That makes sense.
Yeah. There's Beakman's World. I'm just gonna assume it was that.
No, Beakman's World rocked.
Yeah, it did.
What a great program.
Fuck you, Bill Nye. It's the Beakman's World house.
Yeah. See, when I try and look up anything, it literally only comes up with
Beakman's World
dinosaurs.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and say it was Miss Doubtfire. Wow, there's a very cool gif of Wishbone shooting a bow and arrow.
Yeah. From the intro of the show.
I guess. I don't know. I never watched it, but I just like I'm looking at an article that's like what was this?
He's like dressed like Robin Hood, right?
Yeah, these educational 90s shows were the best. And there's like a gif for each one, and the one for Wishbone is just like his arm movement does not make sense.
He's Wishbone, okay?
Fair.
I'm going to say that there's 80% chance that it is Miss Doubtfire. I need to just think about it more.
Yeah. So far, everything I'm looking up that's coming up is like not.
What year did Mrs. Doubtfire come out?
94, I would assume, give or take.
Yeah, it's like early 90s.
Okay, I would have been 7, so the probability is pretty high.
Yeah, because I'm not getting anything.
Maybe it's okay. So like, is it like I haven't watched Miss Doubtfire in many a moon, but wasn't it like not the actual guy that you sent a picture of, and then the other guy goes in there and is like just messing around, and it turns out he's like amazing at being a dinosaur guy?
Yeah, so it's that guy does the actual show with the dinosaurs or whatever, and then Robin Williams like sneaks in and starts playing with all the fucking dinosaurs, like making them dance and sing songs and shit. And the guy who like runs the show sees him and is like, "Hey, you're really good. You should try out sometime," or whatever.
Because I'm wondering if I'm like confabulating that old guy and the dinosaur part and thinking that he was the host. I hate this.
I haven't seen Miss Doubtfire probably since it came out, so I have like no fucking idea.
Yeah, you just gotta watch Mrs. Doubtfire tonight.
Ugh, I'm scared. I don't. Everything is a lie.
I just like the idea that you just like Kid said, you Mandela affected yourself into thinking this was a real thing.
Your whole life, you've been thinking about this Mrs. Doubtfire informational program.
And thinking it was a real, and it changed my life because I love dinosaurs.
It's your love of dinosaurs came from this thing that wasn't real.
Maybe it was like a time traveler situation.
I'm gonna keep Googling. I'm gonna keep searching through things while we're talking. I'll see if something comes up that looks like it was maybe about dinosaurs.
Okay.
There's a billion articles. It's like, remember these science shows from the 90s?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't.
I sure don't.
Well, I don't remember what it is, but I do remember it.
You might be thinking Big Bad Beetleborgs.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It was probably that.
What a cool name.
Sure.
Power Rangers Dino Rescue.
Ernest Saves Christmas is over. This is what we're doing now.
Welcome back to our nostalgia episode.
Was it the Flintstones? That was about dinosaurs.
That's fair.
That'd be awesome if you were like, oh yeah, it was dinosaurs.
Wait, it wasn't. It was an animated.
That was just an episode of the Flintstones.
No, it was the spin-off that was about Pam Pam, and Pebbles. That's what it was.
I remember that.
Yeah. All right. Oh, geez.
I really feel like you saw an episode of like Beakman's World about dinosaurs, and that's just like.
I don't think so though, because I like specifically remember an old guy like a la Jurassic Park.
Ooh, I like that this article threw in some like kids science shows from like the Philippines and shit instead of just like these terrible American ones. I want to watch a Filipino kids science show.
It's probably actually really good.
All right, anyway.
Yeah, so I bet it was Popular Mechanics for Kids.
That does sound correct.
I feel like we've gone off the rails because like we had like Beacon's World, Bill Nye the Science Guy, and now there's like things called Zoomafoo. What the fuck? Oh, Zoomafoo. What the fuck is that?
That's not even that new. That was on whenever I was like 10, maybe.
I never heard of it.
It had like a little stuffed puppet monkey guy who was like a co-host.
These are the Krat guys.
I don't know what this article is about. It's a HuffPost article. 25 much loved kids TV shows from the 90s you've probably forgotten about. Around the Bend. Let's see. It was supposed to be a parody of Saturday morning magazine shows. I don't know what that means. And was set in a sewer and fronted by a grumpy crocodile called Doc Croc, who linked between various cartoons. This looks incredible.
Around the Bend. Oh, it's a British.
I don't know what this is. The fuck is Green Claws? This thing is horrifying. Green Claws was a friendly green monster who lived in a greenhouse that would grow a variety of fabulous seeds inside a riddle tree. God, the 90s were a fucking nightmare.
He looks so scary. Again, BBC. He looks like Muzzy, kind of.
Count Duckula?
I liked Count Duckula.
I gotta watch all these shows. These Dr. Zitbag's Transylvania Pet Shop. I am in.
I'm in.
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
What? Never heard of it.
Every screenshot from all of these shows, they look unhinged. I'm in.
Yeah, they're terrifying.
Finders Keepers on here. We talked about that in Good Burgers. That shit was awesome. All right, we could stop talking about other things.
Okay, so
Katie likes the fake science show from Miss Doubtfire.
Yeah.
So we figured out.
Main takeaway.
Definitely.
It changed her life somehow.
it Mrs. Doubtfire changing lives. Yeah, so okay, so basically, so yeah, Joe's in there doing a puppet show and like doing his little shtick about saying yes, please, and thank you and whatever the fuck. And Santa comes in and is like talking to him and is about to offer him the job as Santa Claus, but Joe's agent comes in and is basically just like, your big break is here. There's this movie that like we want you to audition for. Like it could be your big break. And he's like, okay, great. And also he's rude to Santa Claus.
Yeah, calls him Mr. Santos.
Yeah.
I got a lot of questions about how whatever this movie is going to be a big break.
I don't. I guess because like from going from TV to movie, and I don't know.
Like I say, that movie doesn't seem like it's going to do very well.
No. This is when Santa realizes that he's forgotten his sack, and so he like leaves in a hurry or whatever. And so meanwhile, Ernest has gone back to his like taxi headquarters, and his boss is like mad that Ernest didn't get the fare from Santa Claus, and he's just like, I don't know, call it clairvoyance, call it extra sensatory perspiration. I just had a good feeling about him. That part made me laugh. Whenever potential spam's calling me. Do you think it's someone calling me about the dinosaur show?
Maybe it's Robin Williams. Calling from the grave. You should answer it.
Right after I was talking about having extra sensatory perspiration.
What if you answered it and it's just somebody whispering the title of the show?
I would probably die.
Yes.
I would leave this mortal husk behind. Okay.
It was the fake show from Mrs. Doubtfire.
The more I'm thinking about it, I'm really wondering. I need to rewatch it so I can see the set, because if the set is what I'm imagining, I will be really upset.
It would be like me being like, I used to watch this cartoon where a cat and mouse used to murder each other. I think it was something itchy and scratchy, maybe.
Wow. Leave me alone, okay? I'm in a delicate situation. My life is a sham.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, he's basically just like, I had a really good feeling about this guy. Like, that's why I didn't charge him, like, have Christmas spirit or whatever. But the boss just, like, fires him.
That's
so
the most realistic thing in this entire movie.
Yeah.
You gave an old man a free ride, you're fired.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. So Ernest and Harmony get kicked out along with Santa's sack and the tree. And Ernest starts talking about how he has a friend that he thinks could use the tree. And they grew up together. They've had all these life experiences together. Let's go. We're going to go. So they pull up to the house and they go inside. I don't know if you're talking about this on recording or not. But basically, he knocks on the door. And you get the POV of being inside opening the door, and Ernest is just like, hey, Vern, and then he, like, slams the door in his face.
Fucking wrecks his house.
And Ernest is like, Harmony's like, I thought you said you guys were friends. And he's like, oh, yeah, Vern's just like that. So then Ernest comes in, and it's literally just a POV of, like, it is the most chaotic thing ever. Ernest is, like, fucking wrecking his house, like, pulling cables out of the wall, and, like... It's really chaotic.
So, like, I guess if, like, you've never watched, like, I guess the Ernest TV show, or if you've never seen, like, any of the commercials, because this movie, and then there's, like, a, 40-minute TV special called Ernest Goes to Splash Mountain, that was whenever Splash Mountain opened, that, like, was the only times there was like a sort of cinematic thing of Vern. It was mostly the TV show, and then like all the commercials. Like almost all the commercials are him talking to Vern. And so Vern is like his very put upon neighbor that you never ever actually see or hear.
Very put upon.
Oh yeah, like every commercial is like Vern just getting fucked with while Ernest is like selling milk or
like
whatever.
Yeah. The entire premise,
yellow.
essentially.
Yeah. And so, like, I feel like if, like, seeing this, you would have, like, without any sort of context, has to be baffling. Because all of a sudden you're, like, getting a weird POV shot of Ernest, like, wrecking someone's house that you never actually see.
Right. So that makes it even more chaotic, I guess. Because it does seem like out of nowhere if you don't like know what's going on.
Which like this is the second like Ernest movie, so like I think this is second. Well, I guess third if you count Dr. Otto, but that was sort of made an Ernest movie after the fact. But like it's like Ernest goes to camp, then this, and then I think jail, and then Scared Stupid. So like ideally, if you watch this at the time, you were probably going to see it with an idea of like who Ernest was and what like the whole gimmick was.
Right.
But watching it now, I'm sure like if somebody's just like, I'm gonna watch whatever this weird Christmas movie is, I feel like you'd be extremely confused for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. So like while Ernest is wrecking Vern's house, at the kids museum, basically Santa Claus has revealed that he is Santa Claus, and so the agent thinks that he's just like a senile old man. So he calls the police to come like pick him up. This is really funny because they like take Santa down to the police station and they like fingerprint him, and his fingerprints are like snowflakes.
I think in France this movie was called like Santa Goes to Jail or some shit. Santa Claus in Prison is what it was retitled in France.
I love that. I fucking love a dumb gimmicky joke, like Christmas joke like that.
Oh yeah, the fingerprints.
I think it's so funny. Yeah.
Which means because in the lore of this movie, like a regular person becomes Santa Claus, so your fingerprints are just like altered when you become Santa Claus.
I would assume.
Yeah.
You think that's painful? Or do you think it's just like
magic?
magic?
I
don't know.
I think it's just magic.
What if they burn off your fingerprints and turn them into like a snowflake?
They like etch it in there. You know what? Now I'm wanting is like a shapeshifter movie, but you shapeshift into Santa Claus.
We should make the backstory.
That's my new smut novel, Shapeshifter Santa Claus.
Oh man, I'd read that.
It's like the Rougarou, where you're just like a normal person, and then you just shapeshift into Santa. You know?
I'm still waiting on Catfish Dinosaurs.
Yeah, Kit. What the frick?
Baby steps.
I need it in my inbox stat.
Look, Kit did the hard part. He got the idea.
Yeah, and the title.
What else do you expect? Can't just write it too.
Well, fair. Okay, you're right.
It only needs to be like 10 pages for me to sell it on Amazon.
I was going to say, there's so many of them. They're only like 7 pages.
Yeah.
One day I'll feel inspired.
You should write one, but it should just be like the least sexy thing. Where it's like, and then they did stuff together.
Yeah.
Let's just leave it at that.
The end.
Yeah. That's kind of like essentially what regular romance books are like. It's like it's like all of this like lead up, and then they're like, and then their bodies became one, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I'm not. Who do you? What? Anyways, we're not. This is. We're not getting into this again. Okay. Okay. So meanwhile, they're like doing all this stuff with Santa. He's trying to say his name is Santa Claus, and they're like, okay, we'll just book you as a John Doe, whatever. Meanwhile, Joe goes to the audition for the movie, and they love him. At this point, again, we don't know what the movie is, though. Ernest is destroying Vern's house 12 hours later. He, for some reason, decides that he needs a bolt cutter, so he goes out to his truck where he sees Santa's sack. He looks inside and, with the power of Christmas, realizes that Santa is actually Santa Claus. Then Harmony and Ernest kind of like argue about the logistics of him being Santa Claus. The entire time, I didn't really write this down until now because like this movie kind of does that thing where it like switches back and forth between a lot of people. And so like this entire time, ever since like Santa got off the plane, there's been this like thing with these two warehouse workers who
Chuck and Bobby.
Are they like from something else?
Yeah. Well, there's like a different version of them in Ernest Scared Stupid.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Like the people that sell him all the troll shit. It's not Bobby in that. I forget what the character's name is. But Chuck and Bobby are kind of like pretty common, like the
recurring
characters in a couple of the movies.
That makes a lot of sense because I was like, these guys seem so familiar, other than the fact that I vaguely think I've seen this movie, but I'd only seen Scared Stupid that one time we did it, so I couldn't remember. But I remembered like his eyeball thing.
They're actors,
like
you've probably seen some of the TV show from when you were younger because it was like
definitely
pretty popular despite only having like one season. And they're both in that.
Yeah.
So you've probably had at least some reference for them before.
And yeah, so they're like warehouse workers. There's this like situation where there's a crate and they're arguing over whether it says elves or elms.
Classic name, Elms.
Yeah, And so it like switches back and forth to slowly it gets to this point where the crates break open and there's Santa's reindeer inside, and the reindeer like fly up to the top of the ceiling, and one of them goes, "It could be aliens."
Yeah.
It's fair.
You can't rule it out.
You can't really.
I mean, reindeer look pretty fucking weird.
They do, especially. I think are they the ones that like shed the fur off of their antlers and it's just like bloody? I
think male.
I think this is regular deer.
Male reindeer like actively like shed their antlers, like the full things.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all pretty spooky to me.
Everything about the real world is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Amen.
I don't think they did us any favors by pretending that Santa's reindeer were just like a cute little situation, So Ernest shows up with the sack at the museum, but the museum is closed. He and Harmony start Ernest basically opens Santa's sack because he's still trying to convince her that he's really Santa Claus, and so he's like pulling out like gifts, quote unquote, for her, but they're all wrong, and they're like, one's a flamingo, he pulls out like a bass or something, and she's just like, what? That
is what everyone wants for Christmas, right?
A smoked bass.
Yeah.
The next morning, they find out that Santa has been arrested because the receptionist tells them. So they go to the jail in disguise, of course. And this whole situation is very strange because Harmony pretends to be like somebody's niece, daughter, schoolgirl thing, and Ernest is pretending to be like the governor's aide or something. And they basically talk their way into the jail cell where Santa is spending it with like a bunch of other criminals, and they're basically like
you like the way you phrase that. This means also Santa's a criminal.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, he does break into people's houses.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy.
Yeah, I don't like that. He sees you when you're sleeping, and he knows when you're awake, which is really kind of creepy if you think about it. They basically like play up.
He could know when I'm awake to stay out of my house.
You don't want to. He can see you sleeping though.
Look, everyone knows I'm awake all the time, so
that's fair.
He doesn't know anything everyone else doesn't know.
Santa is not going to get the jump on you. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna tase the shit out of him. Comes into my house. Well, what's that dinosaur show Katie watched? Let me know.
Tell me, Santa. So they basically like play up the fact that Santa is Santa, but saying he's Santa because like obviously no one else believes him or whatever. And they're basically saying like it's like a crime that he's here with general population because he's obviously like having like mental distress and like how dare you leave him here? We're gonna take him right now. So they bust him out, and the police are just like, all right, here you go. Like fair, seems about right. So the Santa starts talking about how he's been Santa since 1888, and basically that over time the magic of Santa, like his ability to remember everyone's name and remember what they want and all that stuff, it starts to fade, and the only way it's renewed is if you transfer the Santa power to another person. And this is when he proves to Harmony that he's Santa because he knows her real name and knows about this like gift that she wanted or something.
Which is funny because earlier in the movie, Santa's like essentially got dementia and can't remember fucking anything.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So they're trying, and so basically Santa is like, I want to pass on the mantle of Santa to Joe. And we have to do it by like 7 p.m. on Christmas Eve or something, or the magic is gone forever or something. So they're like, okay, let's find him. So this is where Ernest goes to the talent agency disguised as Joe's agent's mother. And she like, he goes in there and is basically just like, where's Martin? And it's just like being like a mom. She's like, I have 2 sons and one of them is good and one is bad, and I need him to help me write my will since having walked from the airport, I'll be dead soon. Which that line made me laugh. And so like essentially he gets the address of the studio. So now he goes to the studio disguised as a snake guy. And he's like, hey, are you guys shooting that horror movie here? I got snakes for the horror movie. And it's actually Santa underneath a tarp shaking a rattle and pretending to be snakes. And the guard's just like, okay, go through. Because, yeah, he wants to deal with that.
Yeah.
So Santa gets on set. And it starts out as a Christmas scene where Joe is with his children. There's like a Christmas tree. They're in a cabin or whatever. He sends the kids off to bed. And then all of a sudden a monster busts in, and Joe is supposed to say like, take this motherfucker or something like that and shoot it, but Joe just can't say cuss words.
Yeah,
so
I think he's supposed to say bitch, and then
okay,
like, something like that.
So he is supposed to like cuss and basically shoot the monster, but like he just is like, I'm sorry, I just like I can't say it. And they're like, well, you need to show anger, and like your character needs to show that he's really mad so that he can hack up the monster later. And they're like, what? And both Joe and Santa are just like very beside themselves about this violence or whatever. And Santa ends up like punching the director in the eye.
Like, did he not read the script for this movie?
I'm guessing no.
He just showed up on set.
Yeah, like, he did do an audition, so, like, I feel like they would have told you what the movie was about, but... So, basically, Joe and the agent see that Santa's there, and they're like, what are you doing here? Like, you're not supposed to be here or whatever, and then Joe's like, listen, he keeps showing up here to talk to me, so I'm just gonna sit down with him once and for all and hear him out so that we can, like, send him on his way or whatever. Meanwhile, Harmony is messing around with Santa's sack, trying to get $1 million out of it or whatever. This little scene actually made me laugh. So Ernest, is dressed up as like a snake prop guy, and he's like standing out there waiting for Santa. And these guys come up and they're like, "Oh, are you the snake guy?" And he's like, "Yeah." And they just like dump a bucket of snakes into the back of his truck. And Ernest goes, "Thanks, I'll count those later." And then he turns around and goes, "Yee!" It was pretty funny.
I'll count those later. So good.
And gross because, snakes. So this is when Santa finally sits down with Joe, gives him a heart-to-heart speech about, the magic of Christmas, and you need to be Santa because blah, 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 blah. And he's like, think about it. I'll meet you later with like all the stuff that you need to be Santa, right? This is when he tells Ernest that like he has some helpers that are going to go pick up the reindeer. And meanwhile, like Harmony has been just pulling all kinds of presents out of the sack, and Ernest and Santa are on their way back. So she just like hides them around his house. And when they come back in, she's just like, hey guys, everything's normal here. And Ernest is kind of like sus. And they're like, why don't we go like check out the sack and like make sure that it's real? So they look in it and it's normal. Everything seems fine. And so Santa is just like, you just have to like learn to trust people sometimes. And Ernest is just like, I don't know. So he tells her to go put the sack in the back of the truck. So she does, right? And secretly what she's done is show them the real sack, goes outside, hides the sack, and then puts a fake sack in the back of the trunk. Then when they come out and they're like, okay, are we ready to go get the reindeer and everything? She's like, well, no, I gotta go meet my cousin and stuff, so it's been great, but see you later. And you're just like,
very convenient that she just has another sack exactly like Santa's.
Well, I think it was a tree skirt that she took from Ernest's like house that happened to be like the same velvet. So I was like, all right, that's really convenient. Yeah. So they leave. Ernest drops Santa off at Joe's house and says, okay, I will meet you at the museum at 7. Like, I'm going to go get the reindeer and everything because traffic is going to be atrocious, of course. Let's see. So Santa gets to Joe's house and shows up, and it turns out that Joe has dyed his hair and shaved his beard, which the agents wanted him to do for the movie part. And so Santa's like, what are you doing? And Joe's just like, I'm sorry, like, I can't do this. Like, this is too big for me. I can't do it. And then Santa tries to show him the sack, but then Santa admits that he knows that it's fake. But he's like, don't worry, I have faith that it will be returned later. Everything will be fine. You just have to like come with me so everything can come together. And he's just like, I can't. And then so Santa sadly leaves. Meanwhile, Harmony has taken the real Santa sack to the train station, and she buys a ticket to Miami that she's just going to wait in the train station for the rest of the night. Ernest shows up at the warehouse to get the reindeer. Maybe I crossed it out. There was like a whole scene with the reindeer and some like pest control people.
Yeah, there's like quick things where they jump back to like the warehouse with just like shenanigans happening with Chuck and Bobby and the reindeer.
Yeah. At this point, they're like pretty comfortable with the reindeer just zipping around the ceiling of the warehouse.
What are you gonna do?
Even though they're aliens.
Yeah. What part are you on now, Kit?
They're at what's her name's house? Ernest and Santa. I looked away. It was it's like 5 minutes past them shooting the monster movie.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we did catch up.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you've overtaken my watching now, I'm pretty sure.
We need another 10-minute aside about children's shows from the 90s. No. So yeah, okay, so Ernest shows up at the warehouse to get the reindeer, and they won't release it to him because of the elms thing. And this is when the elves show up, and he's like, are you elves? And then they're like, elves! And they like throw their disguises off, and they're elves. And so they're just like, all right, here you go. They get the reindeer into the back of the truck, and they're driving essentially the wrong way down the tarmac, and the elves are like, I think you're going the wrong way, and he's just like, no, I'm Ernest, you know how he do?
Yeah.
But he drives the wrong way, and all the tires on the truck pop. Meanwhile, Santa is waiting outside the museum. No one has shown up yet. The receptionist comes out and says, like, hey, I'm sorry that you were arrested, and they're just, like, chit-chatting. Joe briefly meets with the directors and stuff about the horror movie to try and like change it and make it not scary, and they're just essentially like, no, like, what do you mean? It's a horror movie. Ernest, meanwhile, has set up Santa's sleigh with all of the reindeer attached, and there's like kind of this like run-on joke about how Ernest doesn't know all of the reindeer's names, and he calls Donner Donder, and so he's like he also forgets Blitzen, which to me Blitzen is like the coolest reindeer name. So
yeah,
he's like
that's the reindeer name,
right?
Other than Rudolph.
Right? So he's like trying to do the On Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, whatever, to basically start the sled. And he like can't get it all at first, and so the cops come, and like as soon as the cops come, the sled lights up and like shoots off, and this whole thing is like a whole shenanigans where like Ernest is trying to like get control of the sleigh, and the elves are screaming in the background, and traffic control is like, what is this? And the military at one point gets it on their radar and is like, what's going on here? And it's like just literally like 15 minutes of just like crazy shenanigans.
I mean, he seems like he's driving that sleigh about the same he drives his taxi, so
I mean, it's fair.
They let him keep his license.
Yeah. Meanwhile, at the perfect moment, Joe looks out his window and sees Ernest fly by in the Santa sleigh, and then he's like, "Wait a second, that's me! I'm Santa Claus! Merry Christmas!" And he just like runs out, and everyone's like, "Huh?"
Just got to Joe with his shaved face and his dyed hair, and he looks very weird.
Yeah, It's upsetting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it.
Back at the train station, they're about to finally get on the train, and Harmony overhears this little boy like bullying his sister about Santa Claus, and Harmony is just like, shut the fuck up, like you can't tell. She didn't say, you know, obviously it's a kid's movie.
I wish.
It's their one.
Can you imagine?
She's like, who are you to tell her that Santa's not real? Santa is real. I have his sack. And the little boy's like, well, if that's Santa's sack, why do you have it? And then this is where Harmony realizes that she messed up by stealing it, right? Ooh, good question. So now Ernest in the sleigh, Harmony and Joe separately are all racing to the Children's Museum to get there on time. Meanwhile, Santa is just sitting there like having a heart-to-heart with the receptionist. Harmony shows up and she sees Santa, and they embrace, and she's like apologizing for having stolen it. And she's talking about how like she's decided she called her mom and she decided she's gonna go home, and basically her life is changed by that little boy just like really sticking it to her. And Joe arrives and is like, oh, is it too late? Can I still be Santa? And Santa's like, yeah, of course you can. They shake hands, and the magic of Christmas transforms Joe into Santa Claus, and he has a beard and white hair, and he's got a bowl full of jelly and everything, just like he's supposed to.
But he still has his gun.
But it's physically he's just holding a bowl full of jelly.
Yes. Yeah. And his fingerprints are snowflakes. It's magic.
Yeah, you get a whole scene of them burning off his old fingerprints and
acid.
Forging his new documents.
Very upsetting scene in this kid's movie.
Yeah, it's
They go to Vegas to get a fake license.
Yeah, it's essentially like a face-off situation where they, take off Santa's face and switch it.
But it's their fingerprints.
Yeah, and their faces. So, Joe is Santa Claus now. Ernest, meanwhile, is literally blasting around the world, like in space, like Superman, just blasting
he's doing
around.
The Superman thing where they have to like reverse fucking time somehow.
Yeah. And then one of the elves just like sneezes, and then the sleigh like plummets to the ground. Meanwhile, Joe, who is the new Santa, uses his magic to make it snow. And I went, in Orlando? And then literally Harmony goes, snow in Orlando? And I was like, did I write this movie? I really wish it would snow
did
here.
have your name in the credits, which I thought was
Oh, good.
strange.
Good. Well, now you know. I miss snow so much.
You would have
Stupid
been
freaking Florida.
1 year old in '88, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really advanced
Might
for
as
my
well
age, okay?
be writing movies.
I was already past hooked on phonics at 6 months. So, okay. Yeah, one of the elves sneezes because, they're in the chilly frigidness of space. And the sleigh plummets to the earth and literally stops completely vertical right before hitting the ground. And then Ernest goes, air brakes. Hee hee. Oh, I don't know what his laugh is, but there you go.
Something like that.
He literally side mouths. He does this like side mouth thing. So they land normal, and Harmony basically says to Ernest, like, I'm gonna go home, so I probably won't see you again. He's just like, okay, no probs, we're cool. And she kisses him on the cheek. Ernest is like, all right, well, guess I'll see you later, and is like being all like sad, like puppy dog about having to like hand the sleigh over to Joe. And he's just like standing in the corner, like looking back over his shoulder, just like, oh shucks, kind of. And Joe's just like, hey, is there like anything in the rules that says I can't have like a co-captain? And old Santa Claus is like, no, I don't think so. And he's like, oh, okay. So he invites Ernest to accompany him on his midnight ride, so to speak. And then they also invite Harmony to go. And so they do the whole thing. He's still calling him Donder. And they blast off together. Old Santa previous Santa remembers that his name used to be Seth Applegate. And so he says, I guess my name is Seth Applegate. And then the receptionist is like, well, what are you doing tonight? And he's like, well, I don't know, baby. And then they link arms and walk off, and they're going to spend Christmas together. And what does this say? Oh, and everyone lives happily ever after. And then there is a little thing from the warehouse where they're debating over whether the letter on the thing is E or F, because he's like, it says E Bunny, and then the Easter Bunny's ears bust out of a crate.
Yeah.
And then it's the end.
Guess what? Never hear about this Easter Bunny ever again.
Yeah, where's Ernest Saves Easter?
There's been like a bunch of things that like people would ask what like the next movie was gonna be, or whatever. Like, or like maybe like if, I don't know. Like, let's see. Yeah, while promoting the movie, Jim Varney was asked in a November interview about any future Ernest projects in development, and he revealed Ernest vs. the Space Commies from Hell was in the works. And I feel like they would just like make up titles to tell people.
I was gonna say that doesn't sound real to me, but
apparently before this movie came to be, their original idea for the follow-up to Ernest Goes to Camp was Ernest in the Cave of the Voodoo King.
Oof.
Which sounds bad and probably racist, but I also kind of want to see this movie.
Sounds mildly problematic.
Look, it can't be worse than... Somehow Ernest Goes to Africa is least problematic compared, like, when put up against Ernest Joins the Army, but...
Yikes.
You know, all bangers. Yeah, this movie rocks. Only good Christmas movie. Fuck Home Alone. That's the good one. Take that, Home Alone people. All right, Katie, did you look up any news?
I just didn't see anything. I feel like no news exists anymore.
At least not good ones. Let's see. Let's see if there's anything on. Anything looks good. Don't need a Godzilla review. Don't care about that. Apparently, in Plant City, Florida, there's a Christmas haunted house you can go to, Katie.
Oh, cool.
There you go.
So have
There used to be one in like Richmond, but I never went. I don't. Oh, is it a haunted house or is it like a
Sir Henry's Haunted Trail, Haunted Christmas. So it's a haunted trail.
That's probably fine. I don't like
whole trail?
Yeah.
I don't like the houses where people like jump out and scream at you and shit. But I'll take a jaunt.
Apparently,
you know?
Jennifer Love Hewitt is down for another I Know What You Did Last Summer, so I guess we're getting that soon.
Freddie Prinze Jr. is too, so
there's no way either of them are going to say that without that happening now. So we're going to get the requel where the sequels were not canon anymore, and I hate it here. All right.
I want them to just remake the same movie with all of the actors as their age now and just like pretend like they're in high school.
I Know What You Did like 30 summers ago.
Yeah.
They should have it should be that, but they should all be like they should be in like adult like night school classes.
I don't know why, but I thought you were going to say adult diapers.
Yeah.
That also.
All right, no shame.
All right, Katie, what did you watch this week?
Wow. Let's see. Did I watch anything? Since I'm going to be gone, I watched a few of my like normal Christmas movies, which I won't talk about again. Okay, so I watched a movie called Trapped in Paradise from 1994 that had Nicolas Cage, John Lovitz, Dana Carvey.
I don't know if I know what that is.
It's essentially, first of all, Dana Carvey is doing the weirdest voice and acting in this movie. Like, I know he's pretty wacky, but I just like couldn't figure out what was going on with him. Essentially, they're all three brothers, and two of them were in prison, and they get released due to overpopulation, like during the holidays.
Yeah, I've seen this.
Yeah, it was like okay. It was just like the older I get, and then I watch some of these movies, it's kind of like one of those things where like the movie turns out to be like a happy ending, but for no reason. Do you know what I mean? Like, Nicolas Cage is, well, spoilers, but Nicolas Cage is just like, I like these people. Let's not rob anymore. And then it's just like a happy ending. And I'm like, huh? It was kind of like that kind of situation. Again, Nicolas Cage being very crazy. Dana Carvey, I don't know what was going on with him. But you know, some other faces in there. But I had never seen that one. So, you know, it's whatever. Then I also watched this movie from 1994 called Mixed Nuts.
What?
That has Steve Martin, Anthony LaPaglia, Julia Lewis, Adam Sandler, really randomly, Rita Wilson, Parker Posey, just like all of these people, and it's about like Steve Martin working at like a suicide prevention like thing where you would like call and be like, I'm depressed, and then they would like talk you down or whatever. But like all of this crazy shit happens, and I just like couldn't, I don't know. It not for me. It was definitely a comedy, but very much like not for me. There's just like the most insane crazy shit happening.
The cast
and it was
of
just
this
like
movie
very
is
strange.
insane.
I know. The cast was like, partly I feel like it's worth watching just for that.
So like Steve Martin, Madeline Kahn, Robert Klein, Anthony LaPaglia, Juliette Lewis, Rob Reiner, Adam Sandler, Liev Schreiber, Rita Wilson, Parker Posey, Jon Stewart, Gary Shandling, Stephen Wright. That's kind of ridiculous. Haley Joel Osment in 1994.
Yeah, he is just like a little boy that like yells, "It's Santa Claus" or something like that.
Oh, it's a Nora Ephron movie.
Yeah, just very weird. Not and like I feel like actually now that I'm like looking, I like some of her other movies, but that one just was like too all over the place for me. Anyway, So anyway, those were both on Tubi, I think, if anyone wants to watch them. Then I watched Surviving Christmas from 2004 that had Ben Affleck, James Gandolfini, Christina Applegate, and Catherine O'Hare. I will actually say, like, I'm not super huge into Ben Affleck. Like, I do like Dogma and some of his, like, earlier movies. He was kind of fun in this.
It's got Udo Kier in it.
Really?
Yeah, apparently.
The King.
Yeah, Heinrich is the character. Oh, this is the director of Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo.
Oh, a banger.
Weird.
It was okay. Again, it was kind of like one of those movies that, like, the wraparound happy ending was very unearned, but, like, I feel like Ben Affleck plays this really self-unaware, like, rich guy, and he, like, rents the family for Christmas or whatever. So, like, seeing him being, like, kind of weird, and that him with, like, James Gandolfini is pretty funny. And I love Catherine O'Hare, so but I don't know, it was okay. Then I watched this other movie called Let It Snow that had just, like, a bunch of Jacob Batalon is in it, and then just, like, a bunch of other people that I didn't really know. Oh, except Kirian Shipka. And it's kind of just like another, like snow on a town, and then, like, kids dealing with, like, being in high school or whatever. But it was, and Joan Cusack was in it too. I thought it was cute. It was fine. And I think that's it.
All right, what about you, Kit?
Mine's easy. I only watched Godzilla -1.
Hell yeah.
It's perfect.
I thought you watched that last week.
Did I? Well, then I haven't watched anything since.
Yeah,
I think we recorded, like, literally hours after you saw it.
Yeah,
that's right.
We recorded Sunday, so, like,
that's right.
Yeah, I haven't watched.
Then I've only been watching Vanderpump Rules. So.
Oh my god. How's that going for you?
Oh, it's a nightmare. It is an absolute nightmare.
Is it
for all my pump heads out there? Season 3, Kristen's the fucking worst person I've ever seen in my life.
Caitlin and I
Jax is a very close second.
Talked about starting that, but I was like, I got enough Housewives bullshit in my life.
It's the messiest group of people I've ever seen in my fucking life.
Okay, well, you gotta start digging into some of the Real Housewives, because that's like a spin-off of one of them, I believe.
Yeah, I didn't realize that she was Lisa Vanderpump was a housewife, so eventually I gotta go back and catch up on my Vanderpump lore.
Good luck.
Yeah, I haven't watched anything that wasn't for the podcast, so...
Y'all should start Vanderpump Rules.
We thought about it when that Scandival bullshit was happening, and I was just like, I already watched like 4 seasons of 90 Day Fiancé that's currently constantly airing, and 3 Real Housewives and all that shit. I was like, I don't have room for whatever the fuck this is about.
Fair.
Discovery Plus constantly trying to get me to watch Southern Charm, whatever the fuck that is. And that and Below Deck. One of them's constantly trying to get me to watch Below Deck.
The best.
I like, my sister-in-law used to watch that. She watches, like, Survivor. It's not Rat Race, but what's the real one? Amazing Race. Yes, Amazing Race. Below Deck, and when we were, like, living with them, would, like, overwatch some of it. And Below Deck, I was like, I cannot. This is too much for me.
I don't know anything about it other than it's just, like, I guess people that, like, work on yachts, I guess, maybe?
Yeah.
Yep. No, thank you.
Yep. That's it.
I'm just...
All the guests are the worst, and they're all fucking each other, and when shit goes south, it's real awkward because you're trapped on a boat out in the ocean with people that you've made mad.
Great.
It rocks.
TV's very good.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Katie, do you have a shout out?
Anti-shout out. Diablo. No, just kidding. Why does this always happen to me? I was trying to think of something earlier today too. No, I don't. Let me think about it. Somebody else
Have
go.
you listened to the Full of Hell Nothing collab yet?
That was gonna be my shout out.
It's so good.
I was listening to this morning, taking Hooch on a walk.
I liked the new Health album. That's my shout out.
There you go.
I need to listen to that.
It's good. It's like really reminiscent of like late 90s, early 2000s, like industrial. It's actually like so good though.
You gotta listen to Youth Code, if that's the case.
I think I had. Let me.
They're like
the name sounds familiar, but I don't know.
I think they've done stuff with Health, or maybe not. Maybe they just toured with them. But it's the same thing. But it's like they're like 90s industrial. If like a hardcore band was playing it, if it makes, I don't know. They're very good. I saw them live open for like Baroness, and they like blew me away. Kit, your shout out was Full of Hell Nothing.
Yep,
that's so good. It's
banger.
I like Full of Hell, but most of their collabs are kind of boring because it's always with like other metal bands and shit.
Yeah,
like,
I like their one with Merzbow. Like,
yeah, I like that one.
And all the other stuff.
Like I could care less about their like 9 albums with The Body.
Yeah,
but, like,
same.
Once they announced that the one with Nothing, I was like, that's very strange. I can't wait to hear what this sounds like, and it's very weird.
The Answer sounds sick.
Yeah. Anytime it's like really like nothing heavy and shoegazy, but then all of a sudden like Dylan just pops in doing his weird ass fucking vocals, I'm like, this rocks. It's so good. Fucking, that's my shout out too. Go listen to that. More bands of drastically different styles need to work together.
Absolutely.
Give me Deicide, Justin Bieber crossover. Let's go.
Oh.
All right. Next week, some movie where nobody in this town seems to recognize Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Put that cookie down.
I was baffled that, like, spoilers for next week's episode, when, like, his wife can't recognize him, as if this town is just full of other massive Austrian dudes.
Yeah.
You don't know where they live. It might be.
Well, it better be
it's
Austria.
trouble time.
His own son can't even fucking recognize him when he's talking to him just because he's got, like, a weird see-through orange mask on or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, he's never around.
Yeah,
so
I guess that's true.
Maybe they
That's
just.
true.
That might be the third time he's ever seen his dad.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Anyway, we're doing Jingle All the Way. Not the good one with Larry the Cable Guy like I wanted to do.
Boo! Oh, no.
Terrible.
I almost watched it
Take a
just
laugh.
to, like, just to be like,
There's
I want to
no
see what
way.
this is all about. And I was like, I can't do this. I was
No.
like,
It's not even worth the joke.
I was like, number one, like, if we ever at some point we're just like, we're doing this fucking shitty Jingle All the Way sequel, I can't force myself to watch it twice.
No, I really doubt it. Yeah.
I'm gonna do it next year. Jingle
Okay.
only sequels to Christmas movies.
I was gonna say,
We're gonna do
yeah.
the Home Alone sequel that doesn't have Macaulay Culkin, that I know Katie has
Okay.
seen.
Okay, Okay, so there's Home Alone, Lost in New York, both Macaulay Culkin. Then there's a third one which I have seen. There's like 6 now.
I'm upset that you were able to just like immediately go into that from like memory.
What do you mean? Home Alone and Home Alone 2 are like
No,
such
but,
bangers.
like you were like, okay, so let's break this down. There was these two with Macaulay Culkin that were good, and then there was this one. Like I was like, uh-oh. I just unlocked
I feel like
something.
no, but okay, it's because I logged on to like look at whatever was streaming because they like to do that thing where like they'll take the good ones off of streaming or like you have to pay for whatever. So I was just like poking around, and Disney Plus has a Home Alone collection, and I was like, why are there like 7 now? Let's see. Oh, you can't just Google Home Alone.
That is.
I mean, not Google, Letterboxd. Okay, at the most, I've seen the first 4. Then there was Home Alone, The Holiday Heist, and then this 2021 Home Alone Home Sweet Home Alone. Like, enough. Just stop. I don't like it.
Wait, so is 3... Wait, what? What? How is 4 attached to the rest of them? Because I see the first thing is Kevin McAllister's parents have split up in the biography.
Oh, wow. They're like...
Oh, so they just recast a new Kevin McAllister. Still a little kid.
Which is weird because Home Alone 3 is just like a completely new like kid and situation, which by the way, Scarlett Johansson is in that one for some reason. Kind of weird. The fourth one I feel like I've only seen one time, but I thought that there were you know why? French Stewart is in that one.
I was gonna say French Stewart is one of the wet bandits in it. He's playing Daniel Stern's part. What a great recasting.
So they essentially just like redid it sort of as a prequel, but like all new people and like whatever. So that one probably, I would say maybe the third one I don't really remember super much about. I feel like the fourth one was fun just because of who's in it. But I've not seen anything past that, and I will not. I'm not
gonna lie.
The third one prominently had an RC car. That's all I remember.
I am very intrigued by whatever the timeline of these movies are now. And whoever these 4 criminals are
the Home Alone verse
on the cover of 3 look insane. What a bad time. Yeah, oh my god, why are there so many of these?
I guess you have to watch them all now.
Yeah, no way. Jesus Christ, I don't like
Home
knowing that
Alone-verse.
there's at least 6 of these.
You're listen, I'm just as shocked as you were to find out.
Fucking Ellie Kemper in the newer one. It looks like the newer one's got like a decent cast that like maybe would be funny. I can't tell. Ellie Kemper, Rob Delaney, Pete Holmes, Kenan Thompson, Chris Parnell, Andy Daly. So I feel like maybe the side back characters are funny and then everything else happening is unwatchable.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm too scared to try.
This kid looks very annoying. That's like the main kid in it.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. The whole point of Home Alone is that the kid is cute and you like him. And I was just like, I don't know. He's no offense.
Like all of the people I follow have like a 1-star rating on it. So
yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I think I'll skip it.
All right, next week, Home Sweet Home Alone.
No.
Yeah, jingle all the way next week.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah, if you would like to support us, you can join our Patreon, patreon.com/hypestuffpodcast. We have an episode on A Night at the Roxbury Monkey Bone, and our episode on Popstar Never Stop Never Stopping, out by the time this is released. Hopefully, if I get Popstar edited by then.
Because you have to edit in every song.
Yeah, I'm putting the entire soundtrack
it's gonna be,
under the
just
under the episode playing the whole time.
12-hour episode.
Oh god, we'll see. You can buy merch at our store Frontier. You can leave us a rating or review on iTunes and Spotify. You can follow Kate at Hidden Kitstery and Kitrification of Blood. Follow Katie at WerewolfFace. Enjoy Katie's Patreon at patreon.com/werewolfface. You can listen to my other podcast, Ain't Kid Movie Club. Katie, can you do an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression?
Yeah.
That was pretty good, Katie.
Oh, well, thank you. I've been working on it. I already did one earlier when he was like, "Put that cookie down."
Oh, yeah. I was just wondering what next week's episode was going to be like, because I feel like it's just going to be a lot of that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's
100%.
Preview, yeah.
You're my favorite client. That's my Arnold Schwarzenegger impression.
Yeah.
You're my number one client.
You're my number one customer.
I've only seen it once. Don't yell at me for not knowing any of these quotes.
How dare you?
Yeah. I'm only talking about Phil Hartman's storyline. That's it. Because
he's so good.
This whole movie's fucking unhinged.
It's nestled safely under our tree.
All right, jingle all the way next week. I hope you save Christmas, but why?
Aw.